The first thing they ever told me on the front lines of Varel 9 was simple. Never remove your armor. Not for the storms, not for the radiation, not for the enemy's curious eyes. Humanity's exoframes were more than armor. They were identity. Without them, we were fragile, soft things from a blue world long forgotten by the galaxy. When I first met her, I was a nameless soldier from Earth, a relic of a dying species fighting under the banner of the Terran Restoration Fleet. She was Commander Arkessa of the Renari Dominion, tall, silver-skinned, and fierce, her eyes burning like molten gold beneath a crown of thin bone ridges that curved along her head like a halo. We were supposed to be enemies, but on that rain-soaked world, war had other plans. The ceasefire had been fragile, a week old at best. Both sides camped around the shattered remains of a crashed orbital fortress. My squad was assigned to secure the human end of the debris. Her unit held the opposite side. Every night, the rain fell like acid, hissing against my armor as I sat under a collapsed beam, listening to the wind howl through the skeleton of the fortress. That's when I noticed her, standing alone on her side of the line, helmet off, looking toward our campfire. She didn't know I was watching. Her face, fierce and proud, looked carved from moonlight. But there was something else there too. Loneliness. The kind that eats even warriors alive. On the fourth night she approached. Her armor hummed with energy as she crossed the no-man's land, one hand raised in a gesture of peace. Her soldiers tensed, mine raised their rifles, and my heart pounded like thunder. "I seek parley," she said, her voice rich and strangely melodic. I stepped forward. "Then talk, Commander." Her gaze flicked to the armor that covered me from head to toe, midnight steel trimmed with gold, the mark of a Terran officer. "I have seen your kind fight," she said. "You do not yield, even when torn and bleeding. Tell me, human, what hides beneath that metal? What kind of being refuses to die?" For a long moment, I didn't answer. Instead, I simply turned and gestured toward the campfire. "Sit," I said, "and maybe you'll find out. Middle, the truth beneath the iron." For the next few nights, we met in secret. We talked across the fire while the storms raged. She told me of her homeworld, a place where the sky glowed lavender at dusk and the seas shimmered like molten glass. I told her of Earth, of oceans so vast you couldn't see the end, of trees that reached the sky, of laughter and music and all the things war had burned away. The more we spoke, the more I saw the cracks in her. Arkessa was no monster. She was a soldier born into a cycle of conquest. Her people had ruled half the sector for centuries. Yet even she was weary of bloodshed. "You humans are strange," she said one night, gazing at my helmet. "You hide your faces, even in peace. Do you not trust anyone to see you?" "It's not about trust," I said softly. "It's about protection." She tilted her head, curious. "From what?" I hesitated. How could I explain? The armor wasn't just defense, it was survival. The wars had left us scarred, our bodies weakened by centuries of genetic collapse and exposure. The armor fed us, healed us, made us the equals of alien warriors who could crush us barehanded. Without it, we were just human. But she kept pressing. "Show me," she whispered one night. "Show me the human beneath." Her golden eyes burned into me like sunlight through glass. For a heartbeat, I wanted to. But then I remembered what had happened to Captain Morella, who removed her armor before the Trillian envoy as a gesture of peace. The aliens laughed at her frailty. She was dead within a week, shot by one of her own men for endangering the mission. "No," I said. "You wouldn't understand." She stood slowly, eyes narrowing. "Then perhaps I was wrong about your kind. You speak of courage, but hide behind machines. Her words stung more than any weapon. "Commander," I started, but she was already walking away, her silhouette fading into the storm. For 3 days, she didn't return. The silence gnawed at me. I found myself staring toward her camp at night, wondering if she thought of me too. Then, on the 4th night, the sky split open. A Renari rebel faction had launched a surprise assault, rogue soldiers who rejected the ceasefire. Explosions lit the horizon, plasma shells raining down. I was thrown against the ground as fire ripped through our line. Through the chaos, I saw her, AIandHumans, cut down by her own kind. She fell behind the enemy lines, smoke rising around her. Before my squad could stop me, I ran. The armor boosted my speed, servos screaming as I charged through the debris. I cut through the rebels like a blade through silk. When I reached her, she was lying on her back, armor cracked, a deep wound across her side. Her eyes fluttered open. Why are you here?" "Because," I said, lifting her in my arms, "you asked what was under the armor. Maybe it's this." Middle continued, the unmasking. We hid in the ruins until the battle ended. My armor sealed her wound, feeding her nanites from my own reserves. Hours passed in silence, the storm washing the blood away. When her breathing steadied, she spoke weakly. "You saved me, even after what I said." I nodded. Humans are stubborn like that. Her lips curved faintly. "And what now? Will you turn me over?" "No," I said. "I think I've had enough orders for one lifetime." She studied me for a long moment. Then, softly, she said, "You promised me truth once. Let me see it now." The request hung heavy in the air. For a moment, I hesitated. The armor's neural interface flickered as I considered the command. Removing it here meant vulnerability, no life support, no filtration, no shield. But something inside me, the part that remembered what it meant to trust, made the choice. The armor hissed as the plates disengaged. One by one, the seals broke, releasing steam into the cold night. The chest plate fell away, then the gauntlets, then the helmet. When she saw my face, she gasped. "You're human," she whispered. "Truly human." Her fingers brushed my cheek, tracing the scars that laced my skin. To her kind, we must have looked fragile, soft skin, no scales, no bone ridges. But her eyes weren't mocking. They were full of wonder. "You're beautiful," she said softly. I blinked. "That's not a word I hear often on the battlefield. You hide such light beneath all that metal, such pain, such fire." I smiled faintly. We were the armor because it's easier than showing what's left underneath. She reached up, her hand trembling, and pressed her palm against my chest where my heart beat beneath the thin fabric. "It beats so fast," she murmured, "like it fears being forgotten." "Maybe it does," I said quietly. "We've lost so much already. Home, hope, even names." For a long time, we just sat there, two soldiers from opposite worlds, bound by silence and rain, ending the choice. When dawn broke, the ceasefire was shattered. Both factions declared open war. Orders came down to eliminate all remaining Renari forces. My squad was mobilized for the assault. I could hear them calling my name over the comms, demanding my location. AIandHumans stirred beside me, her wounds partially healed. "You should go," she said. "If they find you with me, they'll kill you. And if they find you," she smiled sadly. "Then this was fate." I shook my head. "No, not fate. Not this time." I reattached part of my armor, enough to move but not to fight. "There's a human extraction point 15 clicks west. We can make it if we move now." Her eyes widened. "You would betray your command for me?" I met her gaze. "No. I'd betray them for what's right." We fled through the wastelands, dodging patrols, surviving off the armor's power cells. Every step tested our trust, but neither of us turned back. When we reached the ridge overlooking the extraction zone, we saw Terran dropships hovering, scanning for survivors. "This is where we part," I said quietly. She looked at me with something between sorrow and awe. "Before you go, tell me again. What is under the armor?" I took her hand and pressed it to my chest. "A man who remembers what it means to feel." Her throat tightened. "And now I do too." The dropship scanners caught movement. A voice crackled in my ear. "Lieutenant Kale, report. Who's with you?" I hesitated. One lie could save her. The truth could damn us both. "This is Kale," I said into the comm. "No survivors on site. Returning solo." "Copy that. Get aboard." Kessa's eyes shimmered as I turned away. "Go," she whispered. "Your world still needs you." I paused at the ramp, looking back one last time. She stood in the rising dawn, silver skin glowing like starlight, holding my discarded helmet in her hands. And for the first time, I realized what she had truly wanted to see all along. Not my face, not the scars. She wanted to see the humanity that refused to die. Epilogue: The Man Without Armor. Years later, I returned to Varel, 9, not as a soldier, but as a diplomat. The war had ended. The Renari Dominion and the Terran fleet had forged an uneasy peace. I walked through the same ruins where we had first met, now covered in new growth and alien flowers. At the edge of the valley stood a monument, a tall, slender statue carved in stone. A Renari woman, her hand outstretched, holding a human helmet. At the base, inscribed in both languages, were the words, "Beneath the armor, we found each other." I stood there for a long time, the wind cold against my bare face. She had kept her promise, and so had I, because in the end, that was what humanity truly was. Not the armor, not the weapons, not the power. It was the courage to be seen, to show the truth beneath the steel, and still keep walking forward.